Okay, I've already been butchering some, so you might notice my tray has some things on here already. However, let's talk about a lot of choices that we can have with the meat that we buy. These are bone-in, skin-on chicken thighs. Now, chicken thighs are a great choice for cooking because they are a dark meat, so they are going to be a higher fat content than, say, the breast. It also maintains its juiciness. So today I'm going to be prepping these as I prepare to grind meat to make some pot stickers. But I started to realize as I was making thousands of pot stickers that I could grind my own meat and have a more cost-effective product. At the store where I live, ground chicken is $7 a pound. For a pound of ground chicken, $7. I was able to buy a package at my local Costco, a big package, six packets, a total of 10.5 pounds at 99 cents a pound. Now, it's going to be cheaper, obviously, but there's some labor to this. So there's that truth, okay? You kind of pay for labor. But I want to talk about how that you might not use straight away the skin and the bones, but they're not waste. I'm trying to harvest the meat as I grind it for my pot stickers. But the meat itself is not the only valuable thing. I can take off this skin and I save it because I can roast it off later for some chicken skin chicharrones. I also save bones because I make stock. Okay, but first let's talk about just how to get the meat off of the bone. Now, this is not super fancy. I'm trying to protect a big fillet or something like that. I'm just trying to get the meat off of the bone. So I just take my fillet knife, my boning knife, and I just cut it off, and then I just cut off the other end. I roll it a little bit to try and get everything off, right? I'm not going to stress out too much about getting every morsel of meat off of the bone because I like a little meat in my stock, which we'll talk about later on in this video. But, you know, this is not like in anatomy class in graduate school where I'm trying to get every single little piece off. I'm not stressed out about that. But I'm just going to put all of my harvested meat, okay, in these chunks, and I put it into this little bucket over here because I'm going to be getting ready to grind, okay? I'm going to keep going with all of those skins and deboning process, and I'm going to save all of those skins for later on for a little snack, whether it be for you or for the doggy. No wasting. And then all these delicious bones. This bone stuff here, this is valuable stuff because this is where a lot of the flavor and collagen that really yields a good stock. Not the chicken broth you get from a can or what you might reconstitute from some bouillon, which are very, very quick and convenient, but they don't have the same unctuousness and body that you can get with a homemade stock. Some of the problem about making stock, though, is it's very time intensive. It takes a long time. You might see how some recipes talk about simmering for hours on the stove, skimming carefully. I'm going to show you a shortcut that leads to a very nice stock. Nothing that's going to win you an award in culinary school, but a great way to get a whole cauldron of stock in 90 minutes. I pre-weighed one of these packets to see, well, how much of my yield am I getting when I'm taking out the bones and the skin, which are not waste. We're going to use them in another project. But the usable part for me for the meat is obviously the meaty part that I'm going to grind and make for some delicious filling for my pot stickers. But I weighed a package, and the package was 1 pound, 9 ounces. After I took out the bones and the skin from that, it was about 15 ounces left. So I lost about half a pound. Okay, I'm not going to be super accurate here, but about half a pound of weight from the meat. So still at 99 cents a pound for bone-in, skin-on chicken thighs, yielding the meat only It ended up being about $1.39, which is still cheaper than the boneless, skinless chicken thighs, where I would simply take them out of the package, cut them into chunks, and put them through my grinder. And certainly cheaper than $7 a pound, 1 pound of ground chicken by the butcher at my local. Okay, let's get ready to grind. Now, not everybody has a grinder. I understand that, okay? But if you're going to do a lot of food prep or a lot of production like I do, you might want to invest in one of these machines. My partner also likes to make sausage, so this is another great way to get your partner involved in some things. And yeah, don't have to struggle with grinding your own meat on a small grinder that you might have on your KitchenAid attachment, or again, you know, buying ground meat at the store. Labor from the butcher is worked into the price of that. So if you have a large amount of meat, let's say you know someone who is a hunter, if you're into that, right? But processing a lot of meat can be time consuming. If you don't have the right tool for it, it's a lot more work than it has to be. So I grind a lot. My business, I make over 1,000 pot stickers a week, so I have to grind a lot of meat. So I'm thankful that I have this machine. But you can get hand grinders, you can have attachments to your KitchenAid. Those are for smaller scale, and those work perfectly fine. I did that for a long time as well. Or you can be like my grandmother, who made me chop the meat by hand because that was superior. I got really good at knife skills because of her. So that's also a good thing to do, okay? But here we go with the grinding. I've already prepped the meat into small-ish chunks. You want to be respectful about what the grinder is. Whatever your setup is, the grinder is a spinning knife, so you want to be careful about this. I already assembled this, but why don't I take it apart again, okay? And the way that this one works is that there is the tray and then the auger, okay? And it goes down and feeds into the auger, which then feeds the meat into the blade and presses it through the die, which kind of makes that size grind that you often see in that nice package at the store. You crank it all on and you're ready to rock. Now, once the machine turns on, it's very loud, so you're not going to be able to hear me that well after that, but I want to make sure that you are careful. Things can go bad quickly if you put your hands close to the spinning blades. You would never stick your hand down the auger chute while it's on. So I use this thing here. This is actually a cocktail muddler, but it just happens to be the right one, and it won't get caught up in the auger. So if any of my meat chunks get a little bit snug up in there, I can kind of gently push them down. But do not have a meat grinding accident. Yikes. Okay? So I'm going to prepare by getting my meat ready onto the tray. Okay? I have my catch bowl, and then I have my other bucket of my chopped up meat hunks, and we're going to get ready to grind. Ready? Here comes the noise. Okay. That ground all that chicken, little over 2 pounds of chicken, in what? 45 seconds maybe? Okay, that would have been a lot more work with me and my cleaver. Okay, if you have one of those smaller units, again, this is a professional model. If you have a smaller unit, it's going to take you a little longer than that, but that's totally okay. All right, but now I want to take apart all the pieces, and I try to minimize the waste as well. I get all that other business out of there, right? I scrape all this a little bit in there. You might notice some stuff that gets caught up in the workings here. That's a little bit of fat and fascia, and that's kind of stringy stuff. I kind of like the way it gets caught up because that doesn't go into my product, doesn't go into the mix for my pot stickers, which might not be that appealing texture that I'm looking for. So I kind of peel that jazz off of there. Okay, that's just some fascia, and then I just put that into my waste bowl. Okay, but I take out the auger, right? Now there's always a little bit of stuff that didn't come all the way through the grinder. I'm okay with that. I'm not going to try and run my auger, you know, to the very end and wait for all that. Oh look, here's some cartilage that got caught up. Okay, I'm glad that didn't get into my grind. Here's a little snack for the dog.